Welcome guys to Fourth Dimension. My name is Remy.
And I'm Benedict.
Today we're going to be doing a video for a monthly roundup of January 2022. We're going to make this a monthly series, try and keep it consistent. I feel like we have a lot to talk about. And you know what, especially through 2021, there was just constant music coming out. And I really hope that's the same for this year, so we can kind of, just keep these exciting releases. But before we start anyway, I think we might as well just basically show what we're going to be doing. So we're going to both probably pick out 2 albums each, talk about them as like a discussion. Right, I guess let's get straight into it.
So let's go with you, Remy. You start off. So what was your first pick for album?
Okay, cool. So I feel like this is on everyone's radar. So my first pick is going to be, of course, Dawn FM by The Weeknd.
Nice.
An incredible album. To me, I thought Dawn FM, when I first listened to it, it was good and I really enjoyed it, but it didn't really hit how After Hours first hit for me. Although at first I didn't think that, Abel hit that genius that After Hours hit for me. It's just getting better every listen. Every track, seamlessly goes into the next. It's admirable to see him push these boundaries. Something that a lot of people in his position, the guy's The Weeknd, the guy's literally The Weeknd. He's one of the biggest pop stars. He could have just kept going with.
Yeah, he could have kept riding that lane that he, paved the way for, basically in R&B.
Exactly. And a lot of the time when I was first listening to the album, actually, I thought I was listening to the Drive 2011 soundtrack.
It feels like After Hours, but more dystopian. And I don't know how you feel now that you've heard it a few more times, but for me, definitely on first listen, I didn't think this was as good as After Hours. But I have to say, for me now, I actually do prefer the record. Do you agree? Oh shit.
I don't know. I don't know yet. I really love After Hours.
I think for me, as the more I listen to it, the more I kind of appreciate the weirdness of it, because it is quite a weird record. There's a lot of quirks to it, and I think it shows that Abel on this album is he's pulling from synth pop, he's pulling from a lot of 80s synth pop, but he's pulling from weirder places than he would have done on After Hours.
For sure. One thing Abel can do really, really well is I think he can adapt his style very consistently, and I think once he's given a style, he can adapt his voice to any style he's given. Even the Quincy Jones interlude, it's a strange one. We don't get a lot of context to it.
I think it's great, and also he's a legend, and I don't think that
of course.
I don't think people really have known this, at least I didn't, backstory. What I think is interesting about The Weeknd is, obviously, when he first broke onto the scene, he didn't show his face, right? I'm pretty sure. But he still kind of remains a bit of a mystery. And to get this really personal interlude from Quincy Jones, where he talks about his mother and struggling without a motherly figure in his life, I think it's really interesting. And also the music behind it's really beautiful, and it segues so good into Outtime.
I 100% agree with that. I think it's a cinematic piece of art. There's also one thing I want to just quickly add before we get on to the next album is the features. The features for me is where the album kind of goes a little downhill. Although Here We Go Again is an incredible track, probably one of my favorites off the album. I really wasn't at first especially a big fan of Tyler's verse. I really don't know what it was. There's also the Lil Wayne track.
He sounded like he was given a different instrumental. He sounded like he stepped into the wrong vocal booth. I don't really know what he was supposed to do. If when Abel probably came to him, was like, "Bro, I want you on the track." It's like, what do you want me to do with this shit?
It's kind of mad. It's kind of mad, to be honest. Obviously, I love R&B, and I've always been a little bit of a fan of The Weeknd, but he never really clicked for me as a go-to artist until After Hours. But I think he really pushed himself as an artist when it came to After Hours, and he needed something to change it up and something to boost his legacy, and I think he's doing that really, really well with this new trilogy. And those are my thoughts on Dawn FM.
Cool.
A lot.
Okay. Yeah, a lot. So my number one pick, my favorite album to come out this month. It's been a great month. It's to be expected. It's FKA Twigs. It's Caprisongs. Woo!
Love that.
I'd seen something, I can't remember where I saw it before going into this record, that this record was going to be one of her most personal records. And then when I saw the track list got released with The Weeknd and Daniel Caesar and Georgia Smith, I thought that maybe this wasn't it. Then when she wrote that piece before the album came out, basically just saying that she'd spent a lot of time around her friends, trying to find herself and trying to enjoy herself, I realised that this is the album. This is the personal record. And I think even though this album is very different for Twigs sonically, I think you do hear that even if it is in a different way. I just think the music is very playful, it's very passionate, it's very confident, and I think to start the year with that is just something that I've been really happy to hear.
A lot of her records before were very avant-garde, very, very experimental in a sense, but I don't think she loses that in this album.
No.
I think she just changes it and makes it a little bit more accessible, a little bit more fun, and a little bit more confident. I saw a review actually, someone say Caprisongs is a bit of a selfish project that, like, you know, revels in a lot of its joy, a lot of the sorrows, a lot of the negatives of whatever. Because I don't think I'd be wrong in saying this might be one of her more interpersonal albums, just maybe in a sense of she's a bit more happy now. I love that she's more happy. You can tell that through the music. That she's a lot more happy, a lot more confident in how she's presenting herself. And there was one thing, I think it was addressing Matt Healy from 1975, where a lot of people on Twitter were saying that she's a rock star girlfriend. And she was saying,
I'm not the rock star's girlfriend. I'm the rock star girlfriend.
FKA Twigs is way more of a rock star than Matt Healy, I'm sorry. She's not doing a service to herself by no offense to Matt Healy, but, you know, like, she could, you know... we know where I'm going with this. We know where I'm going with this. What are your favorite tracks from the album?
Meta Angel, because I think it is the emotional crux of the record, and I just think it's really interesting to hear Twigs take that sound. And then I'm a sucker for some of the dancehall and Afrobeat tracks. I absolutely love Pappy Bones. Shy Girl is great on the track.
Shy Girl,
it's so fun. I think Jealousy, I mean, I know I saw a lot of people complaining, but that hook is amazing.
Yeah, it's infectious. It's absolutely
brilliant.
infectious.
I've never heard Rema before. Have you heard his stuff before?
I'd heard of them, but I hadn't delved into any of their stuff, but it was a really nice fit. Surprisingly, the Weeknd track for me, I didn't really love.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you think they could have gone for like something a bit bigger?
Yeah, that was the most underwhelming thing for me. You know, they're both powerhouses of alternative R&B. I was expecting something a little bit more. But anyway, Caprisongs, fantastic album. Fantastic.
Right.
Cool. Right. I'll jump into my second album, and that is Earl Sweatshirt with Sick. I love Earl Sweatshirt. I've loved him since Odd Future, and when some rap songs came out, it was a weird surprise, extremely strange, experimental beats. But again, it just complements Earl. He's such a strange artist, and I feel like a lot of his stuff is overseen a lot when you're listening to the music. A lot of the music you have to sort of go back to and just be like, oh shit, now I've caught that bar, you know? Honestly, Sick as an album, I think, is one of his most accessible albums in a hot minute. That's saying a lot in itself.
What is happening? I didn't run time.
It's strange. It's also got some incredible features too. Z Loopers, I don't know if you're familiar with him, Ben. He's been sort of on the rise for a few years now, but he's still not really had that sort of thing yet. Similar to Arm & Hammer, I don't know if you listened to him last year of Haram. That was an incredible project, bringing a nice mix of underground, a bit of gangster rap, you know, just all those elements intertwined into one. I think that's incredible. And I feel like a lot of that with Earl as well. And I don't think it's just, you know, like abrasive beats that he just raps over. I think there's a nice mix of some jazz in there, some trap. You can hear a lot of West Coast hip hop, obviously. And although this one has to sit with me, I think that's quite common with Earl Sweatshirt, but on a first listen it was incredibly solid. I've gone back to it a few times, and you know, I've loved it. I've completely loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I've only heard this album once, and I for sure agree with a lot of the thoughts, so I need to hear it again. I mean, one thing that I do think should be said about Earl, you know, he's in the lane of abstract hip hop, but his instrumentals are very intricate. You know, he could be jumping on stuff that's a lot more aggressive, a lot more in your face, but there's an intricacy to the instrumentals that he does, and a lot of detail as well.
Whatever sort of emotion or whatever he's trying to express, I think it's beautifully done in his own authentic way, and I think that's one of Earl's strengths, and I'd love to see how it goes in the future. But yeah.
Cool. So Earl Sweatshirt is number 2.
Yes, Earl Sweatshirt.
Okay, so I hadn't heard the Corday, so this was my number 2. Amber Mark, 3 Dimensions Deep. I've been really looking forward to this record for a while, mainly because I really loved a lot of the singles that came out last year. I really love Competition. I think it still sounds great here. It's this really grand, fantastic R&B pop jam that has gospel vocals in it, a really peppy beat. Foreign Things still sounds fantastic. Honestly, I think that's one of my favorite R&B songs I've heard in a while. And then the single that came out was What It Is, which is this very rigid but very lush synth funk jam that has a fantastic bass line, a soaring hook. You know, the album has these moments in spades. There's the first track of the album, I think you'd really like, Remy. I think it's a very hip-hop R&B jam that has this very booming beat and this chopped-up blues sample. There's also other songs on the record like Worth It, Bliss. So you also do get moments where the production, much like a lot of R&B records these days, slips into less ambitious territory, or the songs tend to bleed into one another. And the other thing is this album is an hour long. But overall, I think this is a really promising debut. I think some of the best songs here are some of the best R&B songs I've heard in a minute. And I just I hope that when she drops her sophomore record, that she just basically better reflects her capabilities and potential as an artist. But I wouldn't miss out on this record, because I do think it has some of the best R&B songs that you'll hear this year. So yeah, my number 2 pick is Amber Mark, 3 Dimensions Deep.
Nice. I'll definitely have to give that a listen. You've won me over. I'll give it a listen. Cool. So that all wraps up our albums. So we're going to go to our songs now. This is going to be like a thing we're going to do in our monthly roundup. Abel is just, unapologetically making his career of, just being absolutely disgusting towards towards women. Whatever
Can't
we're
believe
going to
you
see
like
in
this, Remy.
What do you mean? What, because of the...
Because he's so
I
old.
love... Oh, actually, I'm not even going to say what I was about to say then.